Hi all, I'm reviewing one of perhaps my desert island beers. I would drink this a lot more often if it were cheaper and easier to find fresh. It is a low alcohol Belgian pale ale from Brasserie de la Senne from Brussels, Belgium. It's called Boulba. And some people know this beer really well, but it's not really trendy or sexy for, current beer nerds. I don't know if it ever has been. Where did my bottle opener go? There we go. So it's 4.5%. I looked it up. There isn't a lot of information on what exactly is in it, but it's mostly just pale malt, and they do use a large amount of noble hops in this beer. So it's not like one of these Belgian IPA type things that use a lot of American hops. It is sticking with the European stuff. Definitely has similar hopping to a Pilsner, but a lot more. And apparently they dry hop this also. So this bottle was packaged on June 26th. And now they put a best by date of 6 months. It used to be a year, and especially if this bottle was sitting on the shelves for past a year in sunlight, it would get pretty darn skunky because it is that hoppy. And it's really different from your standard, clean Belgian ale, by which I mean not alembic beer. It's being really dry. So Brasserie de la Senne, they're one of the few Belgian ale brewers that only makes bitter dry beers. If you don't count lambics, which they're not bitter, but they're very sour and a whole different thing. So it's very different from your standard Belgian pales and your Trappist ales and your Belgian strong darks. And that's one reason that I like it a lot. It's really refreshing. There aren't too many other beers like this almost in the world, I would say. The closest are like the brewery's Jardinier or Jardinier. That's what it looks like if you say it phonetically in English. And I guess sort of Allagash's Hoppy Table Beer. Those are both low alcohol Belgian pales that are dry hopped. I'm not sure about the brewery's one, but this one is just way drier. And what's special about it is that the yeast is not nearly as fruity and full of esters. It's got some good phenolic notes, but it's not what you come to expect from a Belgian pale ale. Ooh, perfect big head there. Or it's nothing like Trappist beer yeast. I would say it's cleaner, but the yeast definitely has a big effect. And a little bit hazy. I didn't get any of the chunks in that pour, but looks really beautiful. Of course, it's bottle conditioned, but not super duper carbonated. Just a really, really nice firm head on there. Yeah. Yeah. Big on the noble dry hopping notes. It does remind me of actually some of these Italian style Pilsners that have a huge amount of noble hops in them and are also dry hopped just like this. I think the first couple times I ever had this, I was confused. It's like, this is a Belgian beer? I mean, it's got the carbonation, it's spicy, but it's so big, it just smells like a super big Pilsner in a way. And it's that same alcohol content, 4.5. Yeah, it's just full of dried apricot, some grassy notes, sweet floral spices, barely, I guess not barely fermented, but this unbaked bread dough. It's like freshly fermenting dough. Maybe a little bit of some lemongrass stuff going on. But really nice, and the head's sticking around really well. Super light, but really, really fluffy. Spicy on the tongue. Yeah, a little bit of citrusy notes. It is a little bit sweet. Yeah, and it lingers with a really nice sort of apricot sweetbread sort of taste. But just so airy on the tongue and spicy, but then finishes really good. If you love your Italian style Pilsners, some of these super pale, dry hop Pilsners that American brewers in addition to Italian brewers have been doing, then you'll like this beer. It's definitely more complex. The yeast is giving off more more here than you would probably realize. It's bringing lots of nice phenols in there that are combining with the noble hops really well, because they're both these interesting spicy notes. It's almost seems like it's got coriander in it. Definitely does not. I know that. And definitely very carbonated. Ooh, that burp was grassy, on the edge of skunky, but I'm not getting skunky notes in it. That's the problem. That's why a lot of people don't like this beer, and Americans especially have had trouble with this beer, is because old bottles can get really skunky. I've had it on draft a couple times, and in that situation it was like even less grassy than this. Head's still sticking around, but it's interesting how these slightly sweet, I guess it's not, it's almost a Honey Nut Cheerios type note, but finish is really dry. But it's got that sweetness that I said is kind of like dried apricot too, or maybe even cloudberry jam. Any dried or dryish, not super sweet, pale berry or pale fruit is kind of in this. Very, very nice beer, very unique. If you're looking for something that's different from a Pilsner and a super pale, dry pale ale, at least American pale ale, I would highly recommend this. If you ever see this beer on the shelves, I bought this for only $4 a bottle, which, I mean, it's not super cheap, but it's really different, and no American brewery is doing something quite as well as this. I really love this brewery. And this is definitely a desert island beer. I guess if you like lower alcohol saisons, you probably like this. It's a little similar. It doesn't have quite the farmhouse notes, I guess you'd say. It doesn't have that funkiness. Definitely no Brettanomyces happening in this beer, though they have worked with Brett at the Senne before. But it's just a really, really subtly unique beer. But it's just extremely pleasurable to drink, and really hoppy. It's like lingering with lots of spicy noble hops. That's like the main flavor that lingers after a while. It's just overtaking my palate like a super hoppy American pale ale, but done in a very interesting modern Belgian way. So I'd give this 4.5 plus. It's a fantastic beer. Yeah, so if you like your grisettes, dry hop grisettes, hoppy low alcohol saisons, give this one a try also. Goodbye.